Good evening. The League of Women Voters, Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids welcomes you to Meet the Candidates, a forum for those running for the Ramsey City Council member at large in the November 8th election. My name is Leslie Waterhouse. I'm a member of the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters who sponsor Meet the Candidates. I live in Big Lake and cannot vote for this candidate or in this election, or for the city council election. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates. The League does help citizens become informed voters, and we advocate for important issues. This forum is about informing voters. If you're interested in the League, visit our webpage at lwvabcmn.org. We invite people of all genders, gender identities, and adults of all ages to join. To begin the forum, the candidate will answer 2 introductory questions, and then I will read the introductory question answers from the candidate that was not able to attend tonight, and that will be followed by questions submitted by the public via our website and questions of importance to the League of Women Voters. And we'll end with closing statements. And the answers are limited to 90 seconds for each of the 2 introductory questions and 1 minute for each of the other questions and closing statements. So all the candidates were invited. Unfortunately, candidate Jeff Lubarski was not able to attend, so welcome, candidate Chris Riley, and thank you for participating in this forum. Although I'm not able to vote in this race, I'm glad to be here this evening to support these forums so that candidates have the opportunity to share their viewpoints on important issues to the voters. So we're happy you're here today. And candidate Lubarski did send in some responses, which I will read after candidate Riley's responses. So we'll begin with the introductory question. So starting with the first one, what is your motivation to run for office, and what experience or knowledge would help you serve effectively?
Well, first, thank you to the League of Women Voters for having this. I'm Chris Riley. I'm a 27-year resident of Ramsey. I've raised my 3 children with my wife, Brenda, in Ramsey. I have a history of being involved with the community through the city committees that I've been on, through sports, youth athletics, and through the Boy Scouts. I'm a CPA. I am an expert in financial matters, taxes, and budgeting. These are all necessary for city functions. I've been involved with the city. Formerly, I was the chairman of the Economic Development Authority, and I've been on the city council for 10 years. During this time on council, I have been the acting mayor. I've been the chairman of the Public Works Committee. I've served on the Economic Development Authority, and I've been on the Highway 10 Planning Committee. I want to spend another 4 years representing the city of Ramsey.
Thank you. And for the response sent in by candidate Lubarski. My name is Jeff Lubarski. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend the candidate forum. I would, however, like to introduce myself. I am a 24-year resident of the city of Ramsey. I served 24 years in the U.S. Army, and I am currently retired for a career in the Iron Workers Union, and I'm running for city council at-large position. I am not a politician, but a resident of this city that cares deeply about the direction this city will take in the coming years. I want to include the residents of the city of Ramsey in the decision-making about the direction of this city and give them a voice. There is currently little community involvement in the decision made by the city council, and the most common response for why is that the residents do not feel that their involvement makes a difference, and the city council will do what they want and not what the residents want. I am going to change that perception. In the next introductory question, what are your goals for the future of Ramsey?
Well, my goals for the future of Ramsey include maintaining a balance of the city development and our rural preservation. I want to bring in shopping and places to eat. These are not new, but they are going to be continued to be what I'm going to be working for. I want to make sure that there's smooth traffic on both Highway 10 and 47. These are underway and the planning is going well. I want to make sure that Ramsey is a safe place to raise a family, as I've done in the past. All of these items are in the works now, and I have continually supported them as a city council member.
Thank you, Candidate Riley. I'll read the answer to the questions submitted by candidate Lubarski. My goals in running for city council are to strike a balance between development of this city and maintaining the character of this city. I also want to keep citizens informed of the decisions being made by the city council and actively seek their input. Our open spaces and the rural character of this city are important to the residents of this city. Development should be done in a manner that maintains the character of our city and not create additional burdens to our taxpayers. Currently, the roads in the city are in need of attention. Property taxes continue to rise, and yet the roads are still in serious disrepair in some areas. I want to make sure our residents are being represented and not just fix the roads needed for development and not develop at the cost to the residents of this city. I would be honored to serve my community in the Ramsey City Council so that I can push for a sustainability plan for this city that means that our taxes do not need to spiral up to meet our funding needs, and we do not waste the opportunities that this rural community affords our residents. All right. And so now for the questions that came from the public via our website. So for these questions, Candidate Riley, you will have 60 seconds to respond to each of the questions. And the first question is, Ramsey is a growing area and residents are interested in when businesses will fill our downtown area. What would you do to promote a business-friendly environment?
That's a great question. We've been working on that, and we need to continue working on that. What I would do that will be different now is I think we need to revisit the requirements that the city has in developing the core in our downtown area. I want to make sure that we have considered the market forces that are at work, because I think those market forces are also what's holding back some of the development. I want to make sure that the development standards that we have as a city are truly reflective of what the market will bear. And I think once we've done that and created a business-friendly environment, more businesses will come.
Thank you. Recently, Ramsey indicated it would pause its progress on a water treatment facility due to budget concerns and the current inflated environment for construction cost. Do you think the city should push forward on a water treatment plant?
Well, this is a really important question, and the city does have an obligation to be protecting our water, which it is protected right now by managing the wells that we are drawing from. We have been able to maintain safe water. That's the most important thing. The costs, as everyone knows right now, have skyrocketed. 50% increase. We had a good number. It was a hard number before, only a few years ago, and the costs are 50% higher right now, and a lot of that has to do with the shortages that are continually being run into. Some of this is holdover from pandemic. So as the question was phrased, we have put a pause. So the planning is still prepared. We're just putting a pause on incurring the 50% increase, which would be, of course, passed along to the utility people. So it's being paused, and I think the water is still safe. That's what makes it okay.
Thank you. What do you see as currently the biggest issue or problem facing Ramsey? And what is your main objective for the city of Ramsey if elected?
I think this is an easy one. Anybody that drives, has a car, or is a resident in Ramsey knows, our streets are a problem. City council, city staff know this. I talk about it continually with people. Our public works employees are working harder than ever to maintain our streets and are falling behind. And a lot of the reason for this, there's two reasons. 40% of the city's streets were built within a 10-year period. And now all of those streets are kind of getting to a reconstruction phase all at once. That's a cause number one. Number two, there's been a problem that we would do seal coating, which historically we've been done, and stripping. The top inch is coming off and it's causing additional problems. So we have budgeted additional repairs for the stripping. In the last 5 years, 20 miles have been reconstructed, and I have championed to expedite 30 additional miles to be reconstructed over the next 30 years, or over the next 3 years. 30 miles, 3 years.
Thank you. Ramsey has a unique balance of suburban and rural areas. What do you think that balance means, and how is it maintained?
You ask 9 people, you're going to get 10 answers. And everybody has a different opinion. Everybody says they're committed to this balance, but it means different things to different people. And unfortunately, you can't please everybody, because some people, that means no new development. They want, they moved to Ramsey in 1975 to get away from everything. Other people, like I moved to Ramsey thinking that this was an up-and-coming community. My mind, so you've asked me, my opinion, is that we do focus the city development, the not urban, but the suburban development in the core or in and around the core, and leave the northern portion of the city more rural in its nature, but focus the development near or in the core.
Thank you. With Highway 10's inevitable construction, how do you plan on supporting local businesses during that construction time?
Well, first off, I think everybody is going to be super pleased and rejoice that Highway 10 is reconstructed, and there will be no stoplights all the way through Anoka and through Ramsey. That's going to be a huge benefit for everybody. Unfortunately, there's heartache involved with us getting there. It is being planned as professionally and expeditiously as possible. What needs to happen is we're going to have to consider how to redevelop and help our businesses after the construction. Our Economic Development Authority would probably be the best group or best, to facilitate that and to consider how to best promote our businesses and encourage the access or develop the access that they are going to need. And also just fostering a business positive climate, I think, is going to really help.
Thank you. Roads seem to be an ongoing issue in Ramsey. How should Ramsey fund Ramsey roads, and how might you address maintenance, potholes, and road repairs?
I'm going to answer this in opposite order. How to address the maintenance, potholes, and repairs. City Council is already addressing this. We are taking a big swing at getting the funding necessary for this. We're using some of the one-time COVID money to increase, and I had mentioned the stripping before. There's a procedure called spray patching, and that is the correct way of fixing that. We're going to spot use that extensively over the next 2 years. Over the next 2 years, we're going to be spending $750,000 doing that. Potholes and road repairs, I mean, again, it's the keeping our road crews out there and maintaining. Every time we reconstruct a street means that there aren't going to be potholes there next year, so that is also a benefit. And funding, I'm on the record already saying I didn't care if it was the franchise fee or on taxes, as long as we fully funded the roads. We did not fully fund the roads when we made that decision, and when I say we, I mean the city council. I did not approve that decision, but I was fine with it as long as it fully funded our roads, and it did not.
Thank you. Bees and other pollinators are a critical part of our environment. What would you do to create a pollinator-friendly community?
Rapid fire questions here.
I will give you a
Just
pause.
second. I was prepared. I anticipated this question. It's a perennial one. So pollinators, everybody knows that they're important. Without them, we don't have crops, we don't have our flowers that we depend on and stuff. Our parks, almost all of them have unmowed areas, and these unmowed areas become pollinator-friendly. The city of Ramsey is part of the Mayors for Monarchs, which monarchs are also pollinator-friendly. And personally, I'm growing milkweeds at our house this year. My wife and I had decided not to cut down those as weeds. And we are looking into how to cultivate them, because we're going to try to take those seed pods and figure out how to spread those silky seeds and get them to grow in, I'll call them, more appropriate areas of my yard rather than right by our back door. But I'm looking forward to seeing how those grow in the future.
Thank you. So the next question, should Ramsey have a city manager form of government? Why or why not?
I honestly don't think this would make a big difference. Most people don't understand the difference between a city manager form of government and what we have. We currently have a city administrator, and in our current form of government, that means the city council has the final say in essentially hiring and firing all staff. In a city manager form of government, the city manager is in charge of running the city, and the city council really is in charge of running the city manager. It could be more expeditious if we had a city manager. I'm not going to push hard for that. I don't think it's that important of a issue to push. It would also require a charter amendment, which has its own trials and tribulations to get through that. And personally, I'm just not willing to put the effort into that issue because I don't think that's the most important thing we have going on.
Thank you. And next question, what steps will you or can you take to prevent crime in Ramsey?
First answer is easy: fully fund police. I want all of our public safety, police, fire, and our public works to the extent that they all need to be fully funded. And they have been, and they are. Our police chief and our fire chief, they get what they ask for. They get what they need when they ask for it. That's what I'm going to say. They get what they need when they ask for it. We have tried to be proactive with some policies about rental and how forming a group of the rental managers to try to help the property managers police themselves and make sure that their properties don't become problems. We want to make sure that Highway 10, which is the gateway in and out of our community, stays safe. And our police do that by proactively visiting and reaching out to businesses as they're available.
Thank you. Please explain your perception as to what the role of city council is or is not.
That's this one. So what city council is and isn't. City council and the city as a whole hires our staff as qualified experts to do their job. It's important that the city council take a step back and let them do their job. City council is essentially like a board of directors. We make high-level policy decisions. And then, as I've said, I think it's important that we step back and let our staff do their jobs according to those policy decisions. Extremely important that we don't micromanage our staff. I certainly wouldn't want to be micromanaged in my job, and I don't believe anybody else does either, and that's not the city council's job.
Thank you. So please describe how you work with others and how you would integrate yourself into the city council.
Awesome. I wasn't sure how I was going to work this in here, but I describe myself as being reasonable, and reliable. And I think those are two traits right now that are very important on our city council. We've had some decisions and some discussions recently in the last several months that lacked reason. And I think a role that I currently play and will continue to play is being a voice of reason, somebody that makes consistent decisions and is, people understand where I'm going to be coming from and what I'm going to be deciding, and I'm going to be deciding that again next time when that same situation comes up. And I think that that's a very important role, and I fulfill it.
Thank you. And how can Ramsey embrace and encourage more volunteerism?
Public outreach is always important. Getting people, residents, to feel empowered. We have staff that send out emails, they send out Facebook. We've got the city newsletter, the Ramsey Resident. These are always filled with opportunities. We're always looking for Charter Commission, Parks Board, other commissions. I think it's important that people be involved. People that get involved now then have an idea what's going on in the city. And I think a lot of the mystery goes away when you see that, you know what, I didn't know that that was going on. I didn't know people were making the decisions that I thought were mistakes. You know, that you see that good things are going on, and I think we need to continue that. Social media is, not new, but it's up and coming, and I think we need to extend our use of it. And, through our traditional print means and reaching out to people. Every time I go to places, I talk to people, and oftentimes it's coming up about Ramsey and what people do.
Thank you, Candidate Riley. That concludes the question and answer portion of our Meet the Candidates Forum. So at this time, if you would like to go ahead with your closing statement, you'll have 1 minute for your closing statement also.
Great, thank you very much. It was said earlier, the city doesn't listen. The city doesn't have process for hearing what Ramsey residents say and have to say. That's not true. There's open houses about every development. People are reached out to. There is mailings that go out every time there is a land use change. The Planning Commission holds open houses, City Council holds open houses. We listen, and residents are heard. I think me sitting here and asking for your vote should go a long ways. And I appreciate everyone's time for listening, and I appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you, Candidate Riley, for being here this evening and speaking to voters about issues and running in the election for Ramsey City Council. So this concludes our forum for Ramsey City Council Member at Large. And thank you also QCTV for recording this Meet the Candidate Forum. And thank you viewers for your interest in becoming informed voters. As we move through the election season, link to all our local election forums at lwvabcmn.org, as well as the QCTV website and YouTube. If you have questions left unanswered by the forum, please contact the candidates directly. To register to vote or update your registration, go online to mnvotes.gov. You can also register when you go to vote. There are a lot of races and on this year's ballot, and redistricting has taken place. So if you're unsure where to vote, or if you want to preview what will be on your ballot, just go to mnvotes.gov. Again, that's mnvotes.gov. And when you vote, you participate in our democracy, you make it stronger, and you make it yours. So vote on or before November 8th. Thank you.